Summon the Spectre.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuning in to the SpectreVerse for the very first time, welcome. We are live here on this WrestleMania weekend,
Summon the Spectre.
and we are very, very happy to have each and every single one of you here. My name is Jarrah Spectre. I am the host of the SpectreVerse. I am also a professional wrestler known by the Spectre, Jaden Mercer, and I am here tonight to talk with you guys about what we just witnessed on WrestleMania Night 1, live from Las Vegas. My first and initial thoughts is from an in-ring standpoint. I feel like every wrestler and worker in there, they did their job. They really did. But there were a lot of issues that came along with tonight's show. And given the build that we got leading to tonight, I don't think the build itself was enough to make this show a thumbs up show. A lot of it has to do with some of the decisions that were made, but the majority of it is the lack of time that the wrestlers were given on tonight's show. The longest match that we had tonight was Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton in the main event. And I will say first and foremost, that match went 22 minutes. The next closest match went 15 minutes, and that was Seth and Gunther tonight. Every other match outside of that went 10 minutes or less. Now, I don't know about you, but me personally, for a WrestleMania show, I feel like every match deserves to get their time. Whether the story deserves the time or not, I feel like the competitors themselves deserve the time on WrestleMania. It seemed like a lot of it was given to commercials and nonsense, and there was just a lack of video packages. There was a lack of just any sort of like real excitement. Even like the main event, it was very traditional styled and it was very simple. The story told itself. But you look at what we were given tonight, and overall, my thoughts on the match was I thought Randy and Cody did a phenomenal job. But if you look back at the build to what we got, introducing Pat McAfee into the storyline did nothing. It did nothing for tonight. Because you saw how quick we got in and out with Pat McAfee, and then obviously with Randy Orton RKOing Pat McAfee in tonight's main event. That whole just situation makes you beg the question, what the fuck were they thinking? Literally, what the fuck was WWE and TKO thinking? They couldn't just trust the wrestlers themselves to go out and get the job done. And honestly, I probably would have given tonight's show a thumbs up. Like I said, if the wrestlers were able to get more time to be able to showcase what WrestleMania truly is about. It's the show of shows. It's the grandest stage. It's wrestling Super Bowl. And tonight felt very underwhelming. But I will give credit where credit is due. Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes delivered a very traditional, simple, story-filled match, which I'm very thankful for. Seth Rollins and Gunther delivered a very consistent and solid match. Even with the return of Braun Breaker, I think we all kind of knew it was leaning towards that route, and I'm glad it did. But we got Braun Breaker back. Now Seth has plenty to deal with going into the summer months. Gunther winning tonight was the right call, and he is going to be on a crash course going into SummerSlam. And realistically, he should not be losing, but now where do we go with Gunther? I think it's time to revisit him and CM Punk in the main event. But We'll see how night 2 goes. We still got tomorrow night, so plans could definitely change. Everything else on this show felt a little underwhelming. And honestly, I don't even know if it deserved to be on WrestleMania. The Usos and LA Knight in the Vision with iShowSpeed, it was fine. Let's be real. Like, it was fine. It was very much a traditional 6-man tag, and iShowSpeed was the main character. Obviously, it's WrestleMania. You're going to have your celebrity appearances. You're going to have all the grandiose that is WrestleMania. But, like I said, it was fine. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in the unsanctioned match. It did not feel like an unsanctioned match. Both men did a phenomenal job. I will give it to both Jacob and Drew. They both went out there and they delivered. But to WWE and the creative side of things, did the unsanctioned stipulation need to be there? Because what we got tonight did not feel like an unsanctioned match. If I'm being completely honest, I thought it felt like a no holds barred or an Extreme Rules. You could have saved all of the headache if you would have just delivered on a true unsanctioned match. But that's just my personal opinion. But WWE, they are very much we're going to play things safe, which is a little pathetic considering this is WrestleMania. This is the night where you let rules kind of slip out of the way and you go balls to the wall. I know from a worker standpoint, that's what I would personally do. Like, why are we playing it safe on the biggest stage? Let's go crazy. But they did fine. The Fatal 4-Way women's tag match for the women's tag titles, like I said, it was fine. But considering there were so many women, it's a Fatal 4-Way tag match. So you're dealing with 8 women out there. Trying to get a bunch of cool sequences and spots in is very difficult considering the ring itself feels big, but when you have so many different moving parts, everything gets more confined. And so for at least the first half of it, a lot of it just, like, the movements themselves and the sequences made sense. The execution was just a tad bit off because everything was so confined until we started getting into the one-on-one situations, which we will cover here tonight. AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, I thought they did a very fine job too. They delivered on the story that they were telling since WrestlePalooza, which I will give it to them. And the integration of Jessica Carr as the referee for this match definitely helped enhance that too. Did it make a huge deal? Not necessarily, but it definitely played a role. And I think it did its job. And that's, you can't fault wrestlers or creative for that. They did their job for what they were given. Then we had Seth Rollins and Gunther. Like I said, this match was match of the night up until we got to the main event. Heck, me personally, I still think Seth Rollins and Gunther was match of the night. They delivered on a banger. Was it the best match that you could possibly imagine between Seth and Gunther? Not necessarily. I feel like if they were to have at least 10 more minutes added on to their match, I guarantee things would have looked a lot more different. But that was a really good match. Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. We got a brand new women's world champion in Liv Morgan, and I'm very happy for her. The bridesmaid has finally got her moment. She is now the bride, so shout out to Liv Morgan. She killed it. Same with Stephanie. They both killed it tonight. The one issue I had with Stephanie and Liv is I wish it went longer. And I'll explain that, because what ticks me off is just the lack of time that a lot of these matches had. Like the show, and I'm here in Wisconsin, the show started at 5 o'clock on the dot. So I'm like, okay, great. We'll get to start the live stream early. Like, things are going to go really good. This is going to be awesome. But then all of a sudden I look at the time and it's 8 o'clock and I'm like, we're already at Stephanie and Liv. We only got one more match left. Like, this show flew by. And I feel like if they would have just given the matches a little more time, give the wrestlers more creative to do fun stuff out there, it would have made it feel a lot more worth it. Then obviously the return of Bianca Belair, we'll touch upon that. Very, very happy for her. And then we got our main event. We got Pat McAfee doing pretty much fuck all out there. And it pretty much was a waste of time from what we got on SmackDown. And it sucks. It's sad. But Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton did the best with what they were given. And tonight, they delivered a very well-written story that they, I guarantee, spoke up and said, let us do our thing. And it was great. We got the character development of Cody finally digging to a dark... Excuse me. Oh my goodness. We finally have Cody Rhodes digging to a darker place. We have Randy being that mentor, but yet you can tell he's aging and his back is starting to give on him more and more. And then on top of that, Cody finally doing what he needs to do to hang on to the title, all just to get punted after the match. So we know for a fact that storyline is going to go into SummerSlam. There's no question about it. And I think WWE would be stupid to not have Cody and Randy go into SummerSlam. But we got a lot to unpack here. And I want to thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Saturday evening, wherever you may be watching or listening from. If you guys are new here, which I'm assuming a lot of you are, first and foremost, welcome to the SpectreVerse. If you missed the intro, I am Jaden Mercer, the Spectre, inside of the wrestling ring. But here, you can just call me Jara Spectre. If you guys are interested in becoming a subscriber, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications. We'd love to have you stick around. Follow me on all social media platforms. It's at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Jara Spectre. You guys can also follow the SpectreVerse page on Facebook as well at the SpectreVerse. And if you like what you hear, please leave a like and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about tonight's show. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I would have to give this show it was a 5. Me personally. I thought with everything considered, this show was a 5 out of 10. But without further ado, let us go ahead and let's talk WrestleMania Night 1. The show started off with none other than John Cena. John Cena being the host of WrestleMania. The crowd chants, Cena, Cena, and he gets choked up out there. It was nice to see John. Granted, I think we didn't have enough time to miss him, but seeing him in this element, I can tell he's a lot happier and he's content, but yet you can tell he still misses it, and it's just a cool sight to see. He says that this build has been very polarizing. No shit. I totally 100% agree. No shit. He says that the time to talk is up and the time to deliver is now, and then he welcomes everybody to WrestleMania. Night 1 starts off with a 6-man tag match. We have the Usos and LA Knight versus the tag team champions in The Vision, which is Logan Paul and Austin Theory, and their tag team partner, iShowSpeed. As far as the match itself, like I said in the intro, this was a very traditional styled 6-man tag. Nothing crazy happened here. This is like the stuff you would see if there was a 6-man tag in the main event of Monday Night Raw. As far as the production and the producing of the match. This is like what you would see on TV. The Usos come out and they make their way through the crowd. LA Knight then pulls up onto the stage in a Ram that's custom to the LA Knight branding. The Vision then come out. There's a big banner that says The Vision on it. like you would see at like a Sleep Token concert or a rap concert, and it falls. I always love seeing that. It's just a cool visual. And then during the Vision's entrance, they split the screen to do like this multi-drone, multi-camera view. And it was very convoluted. I personally was not a fan of it because, like, although it's cool to see all these different angles, it's a lot for like the person watching at home to be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Because you're just looking at it was like the Brady Bunch. That was the best way I can think of it. Also, I'm not that old. Let me just say that. Like the Brady Bunch, everybody knows what the Brady Bunch is. Come on. But the bell rings, and there's double super kicks from the Usos to the Vision to start. So it just leaves LA Knight and Speed in the ring to start the match. Starts off very slow and eventually leads to iShowSpeed giving a body slam to LA Knight, who completely just... The only time he sold that was in shock, like, holy shit, he just body slammed me. He pops back up and completely takes right back over. The faces run their offense on Logan Paul after Speed gets out of there. Theory then blind tags Logan and hits his rolling drop kick for the cutoff. That's such a cool move. I love it when he does that. Then they ran heat on Jimmy Uso, and Jimmy suplexes Speed and hits Whisper in the Wind for the double down. Tags in his brother Jay. Jay runs the comeback. Speed then pushes LA Knight into Logan. This is where we lead into the finish. Speed pushes LA into Logan. Theory then starts yelling at iShowSpeed and tells him to hit the ropes. So he does, but then LA pushes Theory into iShowSpeed. iShowSpeed is then out of the picture, and then LA Knight hits BFT onto Austin Theory for the 1-2-3. So Usos and LA Knight get the win. There was no surprise here. I think everybody kind of saw this coming. And then post-match, Logan Paul attacks iShowSpeed with the right hand. He sets him up onto the announce table and starts making his way to the top rope. Usos then come in and save the day, pull him down, give him a 1D, and then they take iShowSpeed and they tell him to get up top, and they hold down Logan Paul onto the announce table, and iShowSpeed hits a beautiful splash off the top rope through the table, and the baby faces stand tall at the end of it. Like I said, this was nothing crazy. It's definitely just a nice way to start the show, but at the same time, the build and what we were given doesn't match what was delivered tonight. Overall, I wouldn't say I hate the match. Like, they did their job, but this was very forgettable. I would say 5.5, 6 out of 10. The next match we got was the unsanctioned match. We had Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. Jacob came out and he made his entrance, and they had fire dancers out there. It looked super, super cool. WWE knows how to deliver on very cool entrances, especially at WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, he comes out, he makes just a regular entrance, and the match starts. I will say, the one thing I appreciate about unsanctioned matches is the attention to detail that Triple H does. And they had the referee wearing all black. So it wasn't WWE branded. There was no WWE anything. There was nothing on the turnbuckles. There was nothing on the tables. It was just WWE has no part of what's about to take place. Fatu hits a suicide dive to start as the bell rings. Then there's a schmoz fest on the outside. Jacob then immediately goes underneath the ring. And he grabs 2 tables, he grabs some chairs, and then he grabs the toolbox. And the story with Drew McIntyre in the toolbox leads back to when Drew wrestled CM Punk at Hell in a Cell. Drew then cuts him off on the outside and hits a catapult onto the steel base of the ring. So anytime you open up a ring skirt, you got your steel base of the ring. That's the thing that supports everything. And he hits a catapult there. Fatu then gets in and he hits a pop-up Samoan drop for a 2 count. Drew then takes back over. He wedges a chair in the corner and he hits a tope con hero over the top rope to the outside onto Jacob Fatu. Drew then misses a Claymore, and he eats the chair that he wedged, and then takes the money moonsault from Jacob Fatu for a close near fall. Drew McIntyre then hits Jacob with a wrench and drives it into the eyes of Fatu. Drew then decides to set up both chairs facing each other, and he suplexes Fatu onto one of them. It's a nice looking spot. Anytime somebody gets slammed onto chairs that are like in the folded position, always looks cool. Drew then tells the ref to take his belt off, and then immediately eats a super kick from Jacob Fatu. Jacob then grabs the belt and starts whipping Drew McIntyre, just drilling him as he's whipping it. Then it ends with some bouillets, with Jacob getting the one-up. Jacob then grabs the toolbox and eats a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre for a very close near fall. Fatu eventually gets the one-up, and he sets up a table. He puts Drew on it, and he goes up for the moonsault, but Drew knocks him off the top rope, and Fatu then falls from the top rope to the outside through the table that was set up out there at the beginning of the match. Both men are now back into the ring. Jacob gets back up, and he hits Drew McIntyre with the toolbox, and as he drills him with the toolbox, Drew then sells right on top of the table, and then that's where Jacob Fatu goes up, and he hits the money moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. Jacob Fatu beats Drew McIntyre in the unsanctioned match. Like I said before, this match did not need to be an unsanctioned match. I get as to why they thought it needed to be that, but if you're going to give us an unsanctioned match, why not do a little bit more? Why not really push the boundaries? This match felt safe. A lot of this felt super, super safe. And I don't think it necessarily should have been. This should have been, let's go balls to the wall. Let's think of the craziest shit that we can do to enhance this. But they played it safe. They could have just easily played this off as a no holds barred. And I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. The next match, we have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus what were supposed to be the Bella Twins. But then Nikki comes out in crutches and says that she is not medically cleared to compete tonight. And instead she found a replacement. And that replacement ended up being none other than Paige. So yes, Paige came out and she got a great pop from the WrestleMania crowd. So shout out to Paige making her return to WWE. I thought that was a really cool moment for her. The bell rings and Nia and Lash Legend run through pretty much everybody to set up the Fatal 4-Way. Charlotte hits a crossbody and takes out Nia Jax. Brie then hits yes kicks on, I believe it was Lyra and Bayley, if I'm not mistaken. Lash Legend then hit a double bomb, which it looked like it was going to be a Tower of Doom spot, which would have looked cool regardless. But it ended up just being a double power bomb. And then Brie Bella jumps off the top rope, hits her with a drop kick for a nice little quadruple down. And then this is where business starts to pick up. After the drop kick, Brie tags in Paige, who gets a huge pop as soon as she enters. She starts running wild. She's on her hot tag. She's giving some nice clothesline. Like, Paige looked great out there tonight. Whether we love her or hate her, she looked great. So kudos to her. It then leads to a waterfall by all women and ends up with Charlotte Flair and Paige left standing. And the crowd started to roar for this match. Because I guarantee the history that these two women have had throughout the years, it was nice to finally get like that very cool moment between the two. And so that was a really nice, well-written sequence there. And they actually did really good with the little time that they had and little sequences that they had. They look great. I would love to see a Charlotte and Paige match. There's some bouillets that ended up leading to natural selection, and this is what leads to the finish. After the natural selection, she tags in Alexa Bliss, Charlotte does. As she tags in Alexa starts climbing up to go for Twisted Bliss. And then Nikki Bella pulls Charlotte Flair out of the ring and starts beating her with the crutch. At this point, Alexa's on the top rope watching this happen. So she's looking down as she's watching her friend get beat by a crutch. And now she has to make a decision. Does she go for the win or does she go for her friend? But because she hesitated and waited too long, she goes for Twisted Bliss for the win. But Paige gets the knees up and then hits the Paige Turner on her for the 1, 2, 3. Brie, Bella, and Paige are your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. The match itself was fine. I posted on Twitter. It looked sloppy in some points, and there was one fan that got a little upset with me for saying it looked a little sloppy, which, granted, to be fair, sloppy is not necessarily the greatest term to use, but however, I'm a wrestler. Like, we are known to just be like, if something didn't look good, it looked kind of sloppy. So that's partially on me, but at the same time, like, I'm telling you how I see it. The reason it looked a little sloppy was because when you have so many different moving pieces, when you have 8 women in there, the ring condenses, and so does the timing and the rotations and the pacing of what you're doing. Everything condenses, and it gets a lot more tricky. So, granted, at the first half of the match, some stuff didn't look nearly as impactful until we got to the second half of the match. That's where stuff in the pace started to be right on cue. But that first half of the match, it was chaotic. It was a little sloppy. And there's not much you can do. It's just how it is. It's not a bad thing. It's just how it is. If that is the case, should WWE be doing these multi-person tag team title matches at WrestleMania? Or should it just be a regular tag match? Me personally, I think regular tag. Sometimes you don't need to have everybody on WrestleMania. And clearly, not all of your stars are on WrestleMania this year. So why are we doing this fatal 4-way? Especially, granted, the story of this was just all these different teams fighting over who deserves number 1 contender spot. So I get as to why they had the fatal 4-way to begin with. I just don't personally agree with it. The next match we had was AJ Lee and Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky gets played to the ring by the Wonder Year, which is the band that created her theme song in the first place. AJ Lee then comes out with a bunch of little girls skipping around with her, which is a very cool moment. I love when wrestlers bring out children. It's a good look. It's good for the brand. It's good for everything. It's very, very like, hey, we include everybody. So I've very much appreciated that. The bell rings and starts with some slow chaining. Becky then catches AJ off the apron crossbody. So AJ goes for a crossbody off the apron. Becky catches her, gives her a fall away slam right into the barricade. Rolls her back in, just runs some quick heat on her. She then hits a flying leg drop off the top rope for a close near fall. And then on top of that, there was a nice hope spot leading to a power bomb for a near fall, which was really cool to see. AJ then goes for the Black Widow, but Becky chucks her into the turnbuckle, leading right into a manhandle slam for a very close near fall. Becky then gets into it with the referee, Jessica Carr. Obviously, if anybody's been paying attention to the storyline, Jessica Carr has been a crucial, not necessarily crucial, but an intricate part of the Becky Lynch storyline with the IC title. Considering that Becky feels like she's been constantly getting screwed over by Jessica Carr. So Becky then gets into it with Jessica Carr, And they both end up shoving each other, which got a nice pop. And at that point, it leads to a manhandle slam from AJ Lee to Becky Lynch for a close near fall. So that was a nice little spot. Becky then takes off the turnbuckle pad, which this is the finish. She takes off the turnbuckle pad like she did at the Chamber. And as AJ runs towards her, she pulls Jessica Carr into her, and she eats the little splash from AJ. At that point, the ref is down briefly, so Becky takes AJ Lee, slams her head into the exposed buckle, and then gives her a manhandle slam for the 1, 2, 3. So Becky Lynch regains the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Like I said, this match, it was fine. I think it served the purpose as to what they were doing, and they're obviously going to keep this going from the looks of it. I don't think either women are done quite yet. And overall, like, they both, AJ and Becky both delivered on their stuff. Like, their stuff in the ring looked solid. I just wish, once again, the reoccurring theme, I wish they had more time. So overall, I give this match a 6 out of 10. And actually, let's go back here. So Usos got a 6 out of 10. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, I gave them a 6.5 out of 10. Like I said before, I thought that Drew and Jacob should have just been a no-holds-barred considering what they gave us tonight, which that's not on them. They did great. It's creative. I wish they would have been like, no, you two go balls to the wall and really make it an unsanctioned match. So they got a 6 out of 10. The Fatal 4-Way Tag match, I personally thought was just a 5 out of 10. It was very much middle of the road, nothing crazy other than Paige returning. And then obviously this got a 6 out of 10. So if we're going off of the numbers from what I personally thought it was, right now it's very much a middle of the road, just right down. It's a 5 out of 10 show thus far. Then we get to Seth Rollins versus Gunther. Gunther comes out first. He makes his entrance. I love the fact that WWE changed Gunther's theme song back to the original song he had as Walter. It just fits him so perfect. And then Seth Rollins makes his entrance, and he comes out with a smoking jacket, and he's wearing all black contact lenses. So pretty much revisiting what he did with the Game of Thrones, the Ice King character. I forget what WrestleMania was that. Somebody in the chat, let me know what WrestleMania did Seth Rollins do the Ice King. Was that 34? Or was that 35? I genuinely can't remember. Somebody in the chat, please help me. But he comes out and he's wearing the all black contact lenses, which, I mean, it looked cool. Seth Rollins is always known, especially at WrestleMania, to do something cool. And then the match is right as it is about to start. There's a shotgun dropkick by Gunther right into a powerbomb before the bell even rings. So then they roll on the outside. Gunther's just attacking Seth. Seth then gouges the eyes of Gunther and brawls with him. And then that leads to Gunther staying on the announce table side, and Seth Rollins makes his way to entrance side, and they both have a quick little stare down. Seth Rollins gives him the double bird. They slide in, the bell rings, and there's just a hockey fight to start. And then both men just are swinging at each other. The crowd's going nuts, and Gunther then just clotheslines Seth Rollins. He just boots him in the face, and he runs the traditional Gunther-style heat, which, if anybody's smart, Gunther right now has the best heat in ring in WWE. Everything he does, it looks legit, it has purpose, and then on top of that, he's a cocky prick. Gunther is your very traditional heel, and I know Gunther's not everybody's cup of tea, but he knows what he's good at, he knows how to portray what he's good at, and he delivers, and everything he does looks legit. You can look at any other match that we got tonight, and you're just like, okay, I see what they're doing. But Gunther has that little bit of I don't even know how I would explain it. It's like suspending your disbelief for a second. Like, did he really just get kicked in the face? Or is this just how he is? And no, Gunther likes to just lay his shit in. So you got to know what you're getting yourself into. But Gunther, getting back to the match, goes for a superplex, but Seth floats over the top and then walks Gunther out for a powerbomb, and he does not go for the powerbomb, but instead he goes for the buckle bomb, hits that on Gunther, then leads to a German suplex from Gunther. Seth immediately pops up and then gives Gunther a snap suplex, which looked really, really smooth. That ends up then leading to a chop fest. Seth delivered a bunch of chops and then eats a powerbomb immediately after delivering all those chops for a near fall. There's a fun little sequence leading to a pedigree and a stomp for a very close near fall. That had the crowd like on the edge of their seats. Then, as both men are really starting to sell the toll of the match, there's a fun little pin sequence that led right into a sleeper from Gunther. And at that point, as soon as Gunther locked in the sleeper, the crowd's like, oh shit, here we go. But Seth Rollins ends up fighting out, and he hits 2 discus forearms right into a big line from Gunther. And that shit had some meat behind it. He thudded the fuck out of Seth Rollins. After that, he then goes up to the top rope for a splash, but Seth Rollins immediately pops up, gives him a superplex right into the Falcon Arrow, and as soon as he hit the Falcon Arrow, Gunther then gets to the ropes. Excuse me, let me backtrack. Superplex, Falcon Arrow. Right as he's about to cover, Seth Rollins locks in the sleeper, which got a nice pop. But then Gunther then got to the ropes. Sorry, my notes are very, very tiny over here. Rollins then, after the sleeper hold on Gunther, Gunther sells to the outside. Rollins then hits 2 suicide dives. And as he's going for the third one, he gets caught and eats a powerbomb onto the apron. And then immediately right after gets powerbombed onto the edge of the announce table. Rollins then hits a pedigree and a stomp on top of the announce table onto Gunther. And as that's happening, the ref gets out of the ring and he goes to the announce table to check on Gunther. Seth Rollins is walking away, and all of a sudden you hear the crowd just like something's about to happen. And sure as shit, out of the corner of the camera, you just see a man bolting right across. And that man was none other than Braun Breaker. That's right. Braun Breaker makes his return at WrestleMania. I did not think that we were going to get him in some sort of physical aspect in this match. I knew he was going to at least show face, but he delivered a nice spear to Seth, and the crowd starts barking. He then rolls Seth into the ring and slowly starts to walk back up to the stage. Gunther then crawls inside of the ring, and he locks in the sleeper onto Seth Rollins. And after a little bit of time, Seth then fades away, and the match is over. So Gunther beats Seth Rollins tonight due to the help of Braun Breaker. At this point of the show, this match was match of the night. And like I said at the beginning, I thought this still technically was match of the night. As far as what we got, Cody and Randy was a close number 2. But in my eyes, I thought Seth and Gunther delivered, which at this point they needed to deliver, because all the other matches, like, they were solid, but they weren't WrestleMania solid. They were just solid matches. But Gunther beat Seth Rollins, which I think is the right move. I'm glad that Gunther got the win. You can continue his momentum going into SummerSlam, hell, even into next Mania season. Because Gunther is that guy. I don't think there's any question as to if he's the guy. He is. And now Seth can have his hands full with the Vision again and Braun Breaker. After the match, Seth is slowly crawling out of the ring as he's about to walk to the back, but Braun Breaker, as soon as he got to the top of the stage, he stopped, he turned around, and he full-blown sprinted down that big-ass WrestleMania ramp, and he delivered another spear to Seth Rollins, and the crowd started barking even louder. Now, granted, the second spear didn't look as good as the first one, but just the visual of him full-blown sprinting down the ramp was cool, and then delivering the spear. But that was Gunther and Seth Rollins. Like I said, I thought they delivered at least, I thought they delivered on a very, very solid WrestleMania match. That was a WrestleMania caliber match. The next match we had was the Women's World Championship match. And this consisted of Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. To start this match, a music video started playing of Liv Morgan's new song, Trouble. And as the music video is playing, it then pans to the stage, and it's Liv Morgan and some choreography dancers doing the music video on the stage. It was a cool little visual, I will say. And then Stephanie Vaquer came out, and she got some cool pyro and some red confetti. Some red confetti started falling from the stage. They get into the ring, and they do the championship introductions. The bell rings, and it immediately starts with a double underhook, ground and pound on both ladies. Liv Morgan then hits a springboard sunset powerbomb while Stephanie was on the top rope for the cutoff. Liv then follows that up with the Three Amigos. Shout out to Eddie Guerrero. Stephanie then hits the Devil's Kiss on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan then followed it up with a backstabber. Liv teases going for the Devil's Kiss, but then gets reversed into a pin, right into a double underhook backbreaker by Stephanie for a very close near fall. Liv Morgan then hits the Code Breaker, and Stephanie Vaquer hits Oblivion for a very, very close near fall. At this point, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez show face. Roxanne pops up on the apron, distracts the referee, and then Raquel pops up on the other side as Stephanie's going to the top rope, knocks her down, and then it sets up Oblivion by Liv Morgan. So at this point, I'm thinking, all right, match might be over. 1, 2, kick out by Stephanie Vaquer. Liv Morgan then accidentally goes for a suicide dive and by accident hits Raquel Rodriguez. Stephanie Vaquer then follows that up with a springboard crossbody onto the rest of the Judgment Day, Roxanne and Raquel. But Liv Morgan got out of the way of that dive. She then throws Stephanie into the steps, rolls her back in, hits her flying code breaker right into an Oblivion. 1, 2, 3. The bridesmaid is finally the bride, and Liv Morgan wins her first world championship. Very solid match. Very happy with the outcome. Shout out to Liv Morgan. She earned this world title. And my one gripe about this match in particular is I wish it would have went longer, which is pretty much the same gripe I've had with all of these matches so far, is I wish they would have been longer. I wish they would have delivered on what WrestleMania means as far as an in-ring standpoint. Everything else at this point felt like a WrestleMania, except the matches. With the exception being Seth Rollins and Gunther. That one felt like a WrestleMania match. Everything else felt very much like a traditional TV style, yet I guess any championship match felt like a Saturday night's main event match for the title. It doesn't scream WrestleMania, which really just, it's head scratching to me. Like, how can you not go to your biggest show of the year and deliver everything you possibly have? I know, me personally, when I'm on the biggest show of the year for the state or for whatever show I'm on, if it's the biggest one or one of the big three, I'm going balls to the wall. I'm trying to think of the crazy stuff that we can do. And this just felt safe. Once again, a lot of this stuff felt safe. Like, why aren't we pushing boundaries? We want to make WrestleMania must see. You got to push the boundaries. You can't just rely on the spectacle. What makes the spectacle the spectacle? It's the delivering of the product. And when the product feels the same, you're not going to get that same result that you're expecting. Now you're just looking at the glitz and glamour. Oh, here's a little bit of wrestling. That's not what WrestleMania should be. It should be the glitz, the glamour, and look at these fucking bangers that you're getting. I digress. John Cena then comes back out and he announces the attendance. The attendance of 50,816 people. As soon as he announces that, Bianca Belair, her music hits, and people popped big. At the same time, they're a little confused why her music just popped, but she comes out and she looks great. And she gets into the ring and she says, "Thank you everybody for attending WrestleMania." She says she misses everybody, but she's here tonight for a very important announcement. She's got this big blue coat on. And as she announces, she's like, "I have an announcement." She gives the mic to Cena. She starts unzipping the coat. And as she takes off, she reveals her stomach. And it's got a nice little round little bump. And the crowd popped big for this. Bianca Belair is pregnant. And that was a really, really cool moment. Shout out to Montez Ford. Shout out to Bianca. I'm very, very happy for both of them. And this was the perfect opportunity and time to make said announcement. I'm very, very happy. It was a feel-good moment. And then John Cena was like, well, now I guess we're going to make it the attendance 50,817 people. Which, like I said, it was a very, very cool moment in between the two big main events. So I'm very happy for Bianca. I know the fans were, including myself, we were expecting some sort of like in-ring return, but I think this one trumps an in-ring return, in my opinion. I'm going to take a quick sip of this Ghost Energy drink. Before we get into the main event, I do want to say I'm not surprised by how many commercial breaks we got tonight. But what I will say, it is so egregious and so insulting how much commercials we are given, especially in between matches. I don't mind, especially like in between matches, you get like, I don't know, a 2-3 minute commercial, but then like they followed it up with another set of commercials, and then they follow those commercials up with more commercials. You're telling me you couldn't get at least one, not one video package in? Granted, the bigger matches kind of got one. I know Cody and Randy got one. I don't even remember if anything else on the show got one. Like, I feel like every match, especially on WrestleMania, should have some sort of video package. Give me the consumer, or potentially a new casual fan, to tune in and care about what you're about to give us. Instead of just being like, oh, here's DoorDash. Oh, here's Snickers. Oh, here's Slim Jim. Give us a video package. They'd kill it with video packages. Like, give us that. Including some commercials, I guess, if you got to make your money. But, like, it's just so insulting. Because literally from the end of Liv and Stephanie to Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, I want to say it felt like a good 20 minutes. In reality, it was probably only like 8 minutes. But with how many commercials we got, I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? And it's just like, I don't know. Something about it, me personally, I hate it. I fucking hate it. Last but certainly not least, let's get to our main event. We have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Or anybody makes their entrance, Pat McAfee comes out. And he comes out and he is booed out of the building, rightfully so. Shortly after that, Randy Orton comes out. The fans are singing along to his song. Very, very cool. And then for Cody's entrance, they have these display boxes of the evolution of Cody Rhodes. So it started off in his all green gear when he was in Legacy. Then they showed him with the broken nose, the clear mask. Then they showed him as Stardust. Then they showed him as the American Nightmare. And then it was the grandiose reveal of Cody Rhodes' gear tonight. He rises up from the smoke, and he's got on this all-gold jacket and this all-gold American Nightmare helmet. Cody makes his entrance. It's as big and grandiose as you can possibly imagine. And then the championship announcement. Pat McAfee steals the mic first and does Randy Orton's introduction. And then they continue on with Cody Rhodes' introduction. After Cody's intro, Pat steals the microphone again, and he hits Cody in the back of the head, but then immediately gets shoved by Cody and eats a crossroads. Cody then drags him out to the outside, and then Jelly Roll appears over by ringside. He climbs up onto the Spanish announce table, and he delivers this just terrible looking elbow drop from the announce table through Pat McAfee through the table. And now that wipes out Pat McAfee. Jelly Roll is free to leave. And now that just leaves us with Cody and Randy. The original story. What we should have been given on television to create the suspense of what tonight was. Why we were given Pat McAfee as this mystery caller makes no fucking sense, especially after what we got out of this. The bell rings, and it starts very, very slow. It starts with traditional locking up, chaining, just your traditional internationals, very slow start. Randy then tries to cut off Cody, and he gives him his vintage backbreaker, and after he hits it, he immediately starts selling his lower back with the history of the back surgery. Cody then powers back up and he hits a back suplex, and Orton's now really selling the back. Cody then sees this and he locks in. He starts giving heat to Randy, targeting his lower back. Randy then hits a superplex off the top rope and is so slow to try to recover because of all the damage that's been done to his back. Randy then runs his vintage comeback, his line, duck, power slam. Goes for his draping DDT. And after he hits that, Cody sells to the outside. Back suplex onto the table by Randy. But then Cody immediately pops up and shoves Randy into the steel post. Both men get back into the ring. Randy Orton reveals himself. He is busted open. You see blood starting to drip from his face. Cody then attacks the open wound with some nice close fist punches. Really just essentially just telling the story of like, I need to be ruthless. I need to be vicious. And after a bunch of bumping and a bunch of just open fists, Cody then hits a disaster kick on Randy Orton for a very close near fall. And then he immediately follows that up with Randy Orton's draping DDT. And at this point, Michael Cole makes the call. He says, this is a very different Cody Rhodes that we're given tonight. And I think it's finally starting to plant the seeds as to Cody starting to show more of those heelish tendencies. Randy Orton then starts to sell up. Cody starts doing Randy Orton's signature taunt, so he's slamming his fists on the ground like he's about to go for the Cody cutter. But then Randy immediately pops up ducks underneath, and hits a crossroads onto Cody Rhodes for a very close near fall. That got a nice pop from the crowd. Cody then gives Randy Orton a back suplex. Excuse me. Let me backtrack. After the crossroads, Randy then does his signature taunt. So now he's doing it, and he goes for the RKO, but he gets caught in a backslide for a very close near fall, which leads to an RKO from Cody Rhodes to Randy Orton for another very close near fall. Then they both sell to the outside, and that's where Cody gives Randy Orton a back suplex onto the table. Randy then hits an RKO out of nowhere after they both get back into the ring for a very close near fall. They then exchange some bouillabaisse, and Cody pokes Randy Orton's eye, and because he did the eye poke, Randy Orton couldn't see, and he delivers an RKO to the referee. At this point, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Another referee down spot. Here comes the fucking schmaz and the just chaotic shitfest. But here comes Pat McAfee from the back. He grabs a referee shirt and a neck brace, and he comes running out. And he slides in after the RKO, and he counts 1, 2, and Cody kicks out. Pat McAfee's looking shocked. He's yelling and barking orders at Randy Orton. Randy's sick of this at this point, and he RKOs Pat McAfee for the biggest pop of the night. And as soon as he hits the RKO on the Pat McAfee, Cody then snags Randy Orton, delivers the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes retains the WWE Championship to end WrestleMania Night 1. This match was solid. It was very, very good. It definitely delivered a more slower paced main event, but the story of the match delivered. The ever so long tale of the student mentor, the history with Legacy, the history of Cody not being able to dig to that deeper, darker place when it truly counts. Randy Orton tapping into his old ways. But at the same time, you know he's aging. His back is starting to give out on him. And that eventually, all of that was completely unfolded within this match tonight. It was a very, very solid main event. And then post-match, Cody Rhodes is bleeding too. He's busted open, and he holds the title up. Randy Orton snags the title, and he drills Cody Rhodes in the head with it. And as he's holding the WWE title, he looks down at Cody. He drops the title, and he backs up to the corner, and the crowd starts roaring. And he delivers a punt to Cody Rhodes. The first time we've seen a punt in, I want to say, since 2020, since the pandemic, if I remember correctly. So that was the perfect send-off that you could deliver, except for Randy Orton winning number 15. I think Randy wins 15 at SummerSlam. If I had to be a guessing man and a betting man, I think he delivers that at SummerSlam. But Cody winning, I'm not going to be mad at it. I really can't be. I do think Cody is starting to become... I'm kind of sick of seeing Cody at the top, but... There's the but. If he starts to transition into that darker role, then that's a different story. Cody being the true babyface hero, he finished his story, but it's almost like the Two-Face from The Dark Knight. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think if WWE is smart, this is the route they go. So I'm not going to be mad that Cody Rhodes beat Randy Orton tonight in the main event. I can't be. They delivered a very good match, a very good championship-worthy WrestleMania match. And that is how the show for night 1 goes off the air. In this match, honestly, if I had to give it a rating, I gave this match an 8 out of 10. I thought the story itself worked. I just didn't like the fact that we had to integrate celebrity garbage and celebrity nonsense to get it to said point. But that's what happens when you give billionaires a bunch of money. I don't even know why I said that. Billionaires have a bunch of money. That's what happens when you give billionaires the freedom to step in because, oh, I have money, I have power, I want this. But they don't know a fucking lick about professional wrestling. They don't know a lick about telling a good story. They have the money to do it, but they don't know what to fucking do with anything that they're given. This didn't need Pat McAfee. It didn't need Jelly Roll. We didn't even need iShowSpeed on here tonight. And honestly, I wish the men and the women tonight were given at least 5 to 10 more minutes per match to truly tell the whole story and to deliver quality bangers. Because I guarantee anybody in that ring tonight could have easily said, I could have went longer. I think we could have done more. I know for a fact that has got to be in the back of their minds. Obviously, they're not going to be thinking about this now. But like as a worker, I would have been like, damn, I just wish we would have had more time out there. Because like there wasn't necessarily a bad match tonight. Were the matches great? No. Were they bad? No. It was just middle of the road. It was subpar. But if you boil everything into this one big pot that we're talking the build and the execution of WrestleMania. I think last year's night one was better than this year's, which is sad to say. And that's a very, very low bar that we should be setting for ourselves going forward. I just remember last year watching Roman, Punk, and Seth save that god-awful show. And that triple threat was so good that by the end of it, you weren't even talking about what the rest of the show was. I don't even remember any of the matches except for that one. This one was good. It had a very solid Seth Rollins and Gunther match, and you had a very solid Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton match. But outside of that, everything was very forgetful. So was last year better than this year? Yes, it was. Not by a lot, but it was. But I don't think we should be considering just the past 2-3 years as, oh, this is the bar we need to set. No, if you want the bar to be set, you got to go back earlier than that. You got to go back to your WrestleMania 17s. You got to go back to your WrestleMania 22s. You got to go back to, hell, WrestleMania 30. There are so many better WrestleManias than what we got tonight. Does that mean tonight's show was bad from an in-ring standpoint? No. It was the build that was bad. And when the build's bad, you're expecting the bare minimum of what you're going to get in the ring. And that's kind of what we got tonight. Not to be much of a Debbie Downer, outside of Gunther and Seth Rollins in the main event between Cody and Randy Orton, like AJ Lee and Becky did solid. Stephanie and Liv did solid. But I guarantee you could have tacked on another 10 minutes to both of those matches, and then this whole conversation would be completely different. But, I mean, I guess this is just the teaser. It always seems to be a reoccurring theme ever since we went into the 2-night formula of WrestleMania. So, night 1 is always going to be the stinker, and night 2 is going to be the one that hopefully tries to save the show, which I think that's a very stupid mindset to have, if I'm being completely honest. But overall, I would say it's a thumbs down show. I would give this a solid 5.5 out of 10 at the very, very most. And that's being polite. But honestly, that is the WrestleMania 42 Night 1 recap. And I really want to get to know your thoughts on tonight's show. So please In the chat, I want to hear each and every single one of you. Please tell me what you thought about tonight's show. Anybody in the chat? Genuinely curious. I want to see what we know about tonight's show. I want to know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are as far as what we were given. Anybody in the chat? What was your favorite match at tonight's show? I'm genuinely curious. I want to hear your guys' thoughts now. Anybody in the chat? Anybody want to talk WrestleMania 42? Anybody? Well, if there's nobody here, I guess that just leaves me with one other thing I gotta do. And that is to shout out anybody that followed on Twitter, anybody that liked any of the tweets I gave out tonight, anybody that interacted with me tonight. Granted, let me just start off by saying this. I'm a professional wrestler. I go by the name of the Spectre Jaden Mercer. I'm based out of Wisconsin. I am currently on medical injury report. I tore my ACL last year and I'm still recovering from it. And this SpectreVerse is what I did to kind of take my mind off of everything. So that's what this is. I'm brand new to this. I come up with the content that I want to create, and this is all I know. All of this was just me experimenting. I got the Spectre hat on right here. I did all of my graphic design work. I do all my thumbnails, all the titles. I am just integrated into what the SpectreVerse is, because once I'm done wrestling, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And I know it's a lot of work. It's not going to be easy, but you got to start somewhere. So, but that's probably going to do it for me on tonight's show. I will be back here live tomorrow night for night 2 of WrestleMania 42. So, if you guys are interested and want to stick around for that, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, leave a like on the video, let me know your thoughts and opinions on what we got for tonight's show. Follow me on all social media platforms. That's at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at JarrahSpectre. And also feel free to please go ahead and follow the SpectreVerse page as well. Every single Wednesday, I come on and I do my weekly pro wrestling podcast. And every now and then on a Thursday, I will do a live stream of me playing video games, shooting the shit with you fans. And if you guys are interested in any of that, I would just literally suggest hit the follow button on everything, hit the subscribe button. I would gladly and love to have you guys stick around. But with all that being said, I will see each and every single one of you tomorrow night for WrestleMania 42 for night 2, where we see Roman Reigns and CM Punk for the world title in the main event. And with that being said, I would love for you guys to check out any of the older content that I've done throughout the week. Granted, there's not a lot to look at because, like I said at the beginning, This is very much a startup project. We're only a few months old. Haven't been doing this very long. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to learn the game. Just like wrestling, you got to learn the game. So, I hope you guys stick around. I would love to have you guys stick around. But if you guys want to check out some older content, you are more than welcome to do it. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And we will see you all tomorrow for night 2. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys somewhat enjoyed what you got tonight for WrestleMania. And we will see you guys tomorrow for night 2. Peace out.